Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 22 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 28 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Miami Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out, because that was actually quite an action-packed race, to say it was Miami. A very tough one as well at the same time, but action-packed nonetheless. Some great fighting for the race win, and all the points-paying positions, really, as we had, the likes of Latifi right up there in the points. It was McLaren versus Ferrari for the race win after everything was said and done, with Verstappen making a massive error in that race from the lead. And as you would have seen, of course, and as you can see right there, a shock new winner for this season, Daniel Ricciardo, stepping back onto the top step of the podium. So a rather exciting race to come from into the Monaco Grand Prix, which I think still could be very, very exciting here. I think Season 1 we had a bit of a very Monaco race, but that's because that was Season 1, all the cars are about the same as they were at the start of the game, whereas now we know this grid is so tightly packed. The cars behind us are in a tight fight, and we are in a tight fight, with the cars around us, fighting Mercedes quite hard around Miami. Ferrari may be there, because Leclerc got on the podium for the first time this season, so could that be the start of Ferrari's revival? Who knows? Then, of course, Red Bull and Mercedes still locked into a fight. Verstappen and Hamilton still locked into a fight, but McLaren emerging as quite quick cars, so that's going to be quite interesting. But going into this episode, then purchasing a rear downforce upgrade. Of course, we already had the front downforce upgrade pending, so those are two major downforce upgrades on the front and rear. So once those come in, that's going to be a pretty hefty climb in terms of R&D. And ahead of this race weekend, we're actually met with some very welcomed events in the activity timeline about the personnel, and this allows us to boost Albon by 10 focus on this first event, and then a further 7 focus as well. So 17 focus added to Albon going into this weekend. Obviously, he's still quite low relative to, everyone is very low on the focus, but that's quite positive to have 17 plus boosted focus for him. So he's now up to 46, which doesn't seem like a lot, but he was quite low anyway beforehand. And now going into the race weekend with the updated R&D graph, you can see, look at McLaren, how much they've climbed. I mean, we are now almost on top of Red Bull on this chart, but the big surprise and shock is McLaren. And then also, look at all the teams at the bottom there, improving so much to the point where Haas, they've plateaued so much that they could be, if they're not careful, the worst car in the grid somehow in a race or two's time. Williams, Aston Martin, and Alfa Romeo improving, but McLaren, they leapfrog Alpine, Mercedes, and Ferrari to become the third best team on the grid, and they're not too far away from ourselves and Red Bull. So they're building on that momentum from Ricciardo's win. I mean, either way, even if Ricciardo didn't win, they would have had these upgrades. So it's actually just perfect timing, a perfect storm cooking up for McLaren to maybe become a dark horse threat and start ruffling the feathers of everyone here. Winning at Miami, are they going to be on to maybe try making a back-to-back win here in Monaco with that kind of upgrade? Because that looks like either like 2 major upgrades or like 3 major upgrades or an ultimate upgrade from McLaren there. So that's going to be quite daunting. And I guess we're going to find out here on Saturday, one of the most important qualifyings of the entire season. Are McLaren going to be aiming for the top spots here then? Because although obviously the third best team, if you look at the grid spread on that R&D graph, it's not a lot. And so the drivers, the AI drivers, they can make the difference. So Ricciardo, having won the last race, he could be quite focused and have that momentum with him with his AI coding. So let's see how he does, and let's see how Lando Norris does as well, because of course he recovered well at Miami. He would have been right up there wasn't for that Q1 DNF. And so for us in Q1, there are no shock DNFs today, and we make it through into the second part of qualifying. Red Bull up there, but look at where Lando is, right up there as well with Mercedes. Things are so close, as well as Latifi. He's still doing bits. He's there in the top 5. So this is really, ever since last episode, that one episode really turned everything around and jumbled things up, and we're continuing that jumbled up thing, because now we've got McLaren right up there. Williams have arrived on the seen with Magnussen and Latifi in the top 10 in Q1. So I'm curious, who's going to make it through into the top 10 shootout? You know, we've got to be careful as we have a snap of oversteer. We've got to make sure we actually get through ourselves because the grid is so bloody competitive. It would seem that this is anyone's game, really, and you could get knocked out very, very easily. And I believe that both Ferrari cars, by the way, I think both of the Ferraris got knocked out in Q1 there. I didn't bother to scroll down the kind of standings in the end of Q1, but I believe they both got knocked out. So a calamity once again for the prancing horses. So Miami was just a blip in the system, basically, and they're back to being quite horrendous in this Season 2 as we now go on for our second flying lap, gaining a lot more time on this second flyer, building the confidence around what is one of the most difficult circuits to qualify at, but one of the most crucial, like I said. Perez looking good, though, showing that Red Bull still have good pace, but there goes Norris, and here we come in through, up into the top 10 shootout, thankfully, along with Albon, but look at that. The McLarens are here this season. A 1-2 in Q2. Hamilton up there. Both Red Bulls through. Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo. And Latifi is the Williams that gets through into the top 10 shootout. Magnussen knocked out. Amazing. Quite amazing. So Latifi is here to stay. And it's performing very well. Good points yesterday. Good points last episode. And he's in the top 10 shootout for the second time in a row now here at Monaco. That's quite something. So what can we do then in this shootout to end Saturday? Russell lays down a marker, but it's early days. I don't think everyone's fully got their laps in. So let's see what we can do on this first run. I saw a McLaren crossing line. It was Lando Norris. He's gone fastest of all right now. Where are we going to place? P3 right now. Quite a couple of tenths behind Lando. And on our second run, myself and Albon are down in P7 and 8. I'm only just ahead of Bottas and Latifi, but Latifi goes quicker than me as we cross the line for this second flyer. I only gain about 1.5 tenths there, and that will just be enough to put me in P9. I've been out-qualified by the Williams of Latifi. Albon's only down in P7, and it'll be Lando Norris who gets pole position around Monaco, ahead of Hamilton on the front row, Verstappen alongside Ricciardo on the second one. And yeah, that's a bit of a poor performance. I thought we were going to be a bit higher, both myself and Albon, but no, P7 and P9. And for me personally, to be out-qualified again by Latifi and the Williams is quite something. This is very quickly turning into such a competitive grid. Ever since that patch came in, the AI are so on it, and the grid spreads got even closer just because of the natural career mode upgrading. So the two in combination have made this a very competitive qualifying for the last 2 episodes. Well, from P9 and P7, we've got some work cut out. We want a top 5 position at least minimum here around Monaco, because overtaking is going to be quite tough. I don't know what the strategy will be saying. I don't believe there's any rain on the way, but Lando Norris on pole position. He puts himself in a very good position to maybe make it back-to-back wins for McLaren maybe come Sunday. Let's go to the grid and find out.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863, and of course a certain road race first held in 1929. There is no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco then is not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo, and although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he will start from pole position. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Ricciardo, Sergio Perez and Russell, Albon, Latifi, the owner driver and Valtteri Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Magnussen, Pierre Gasly and Vettel, Ocon, Zhou, Charles Leclerc and Yuki Tsunoda, Stroll, Sainz, Drugovich and Oscar Piastri. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn one?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn one as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
So since we've qualified maybe a little bit lower than I think we should be as a team, I've chosen to go a bit aggressive, a little bit different on the strategy, and we're going to start on the soft compound of tyres. Now, we're not the only one with different tyre choices. I believe both Mercedes cars have opted to start on the hard tyres, so they're going longer into this race and trying to maybe maintain track position and be quicker at the end on maybe a set of medium tyres. I am trying to do something completely different. I'm starting on softs to be uber quick at this start, to maybe make overtakes at this start and get a bit higher to where I think we should be. Then I'm going to try and stretch out the soft compound as much as I can, and then, well, either go onto the hard tyres, or if I've stretched them enough, maybe gamble on the mediums, and then, well, because it's Monaco, if you've got track position, it may be very hard to overtake me, even if I've got very worn medium tyres. So I want to try the risk and try this roll of the dice, because I don't feel like we should be down here in P9. We should be a lot higher, a lot along with Albon here. So I want to try something different. Albon starting on the mediums, that's fair enough. But for me, I want to try and be as quick as we can on these opening laps, make a few positions, settle down, stretch the tyres, and then we'll see where we go from there. Because it's now time to go to 5 red lights for the duel in the Formula 1 calendar. The Monaco Grand Prix is underway as lights are out. It's a great start for us, no surprise, with the soft compound able to jump Latifi and then into turn 1, trying to go around the outside of our teammate Albon up into P7. So already the soft compound proving good. Can we make a move on Russell maybe on the inside? We're going to try and get our nose in, but Russell covers it off. But we're going to maybe try and set ourselves up for a move in Mirabeau potentially, but Russell goes quite defensive and actually goes for a dive bomb himself. Russell goes for the move on Perez in Mirabeau, and instead I'm going to catch him napping into the hairpin and make a very unorthodox overtake on lap 1 on the inside of the hairpin to get up into P6. But that was fantastic. Russell made the move I thought I was going to make on him on Perez, but actually in the end of it actually worked out less in favour for him and more for me. But as we move on then, lap number 3, all stationary now. Lando Norris leads the way from Hamilton on the hard compound, remember. Verstappen, Ricciardo and Perez behind on the mediums, and like I said, the other Mercedes of Russell on the hards behind me now. So that's how we were able to overtake him probably so easily on lap 1, to be honest, is just because of that initial grip on the soft tyre being so much more than the very cold and hard tyres. But right now working out for Hamilton, I guess, but you know, 2.4 seconds to Norris. So Lando and the McLaren, he's pulling away, and that's the difference from the medium to the hards from Norris to Hamilton. Meanwhile for us on these softs, trying to get a good launch off that right-hander through the tunnel and down the crest. Can we make a dive bomb on Sergio Perez, the man who became infamous for these kind of dive bombs back in 2013 in his McLaren days, as we do overtake Checo up into P5. So we've got a Red Bull now in this race on pure pace alone. So I think right now you've got to say my gamble to go on the soft tyres is working out. It's a long way to go though, and this could come back to bite me later in the race. But right now I'm enjoying my decision, because if it wasn't for the soft tyres, I'd probably be stuck behind, you know, maybe fighting Albon or stuck behind Russell at this point. But instead, we're now in clean air trying to chase after Ricciardo as much as we can. Meanwhile, Leclerc, Leclerc's in the wall at turn 1. I was about to say it's a dismal day for him and Piastri to be in the bottom third of the standings right now in this race, but it's gone from bad to worse because Leclerc is in the wall in his home race at turn 1, and he's held up Piastri. What's gone on there? It looked like Piastri actually hit the back of Leclerc, his own teammate, as he was stricken, and he's just gone into the back of him, and he's now down in last place. So it's an absolute implosion for the Scuderia in red as we come in now under this safety car to make a free pit stop effectively. I think there's a few people not coming in though, and that might include the likes of Verstappen, you know, I think on the top left. I mean, both Mercedes cars definitely not coming in because they're on the hards going longer. There's a mistake for our pit stop on the front left there. Slow on, and that allows Perez to re-overtake us That is massively frustrating. So our hard work on the soft tyre undone a little bit by our pit crew there. So we're going to be behind Perez. And then there's 3 cars out of sync of this Grand Prix, Sainz being one of them. I think an Aston and an Alfa Romeo who are yet to pit in this race. Then it's Ricciardo who has come in for a set of hard tyres. You can see Perez is coming for hards. I've gone for mediums. I'm risking it. I'm risking going long. And then under this safety car, Piastri was already down in P21. But now his engine's gone pop and up in smokes. So it is honestly the most dismal day for Ferrari since that Australian Grand Prix of theirs, or Bahrain as well, where they were just tripping over each other and crashing and whatever. Leclerc's in the wall, he's out, and now Piastri's retired with an engine failure. So Ferrari, P21 and 22, chalk it up for one of their worst races this season. So this is the pecking order then, and pretty much everyone above Ricciardo in P10 there is yet to pit. You've got the 2 Mercedes on hard, so obviously they're going much longer. But, you know, Norris, Verstappen, Albon, Bottas, Gasly, Schumacher, Magnussen, they've all risked it and are going longer on their mediums because they think it's too early to come in for the hards. Maybe they're banking on, I don't know, really, just maybe more action to come later, or they just think their tyres still have a lot to give and it's too early to try and come in because they're going to give up that grip they have on those mediums. Whereas Perez, Ricciardo, they've come in. Latifi behind me, although Latifi's come in for the soft compound. So Latifi's trying a 2-stop in this race then. You know, I know maybe I'm going quite aggressive, but Latifi with a nonsensical pit stop onto the softs, whereas at least I've got half a chance of getting to the end of this race on this set of medium tyres, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to risk it and try and go for some overtakes right now in this phase of the race when we go green on these medium tyres versus everyone on hards. And then, well, I'll just have to try and park the bus and get to the end of this race. So we are racing once again then in Monaco, and we're literally pushing Perez through the Casino Square into Mirabeau. Can we make that dive bomb? Yes, we can. Supreme superior grip versus Perez, and we'll actually go ahead and make another overtake on the inside of the hairpin to get Carlos Sainz. We're not wasting any time. Sainz is on much worn out medium tyres versus myself, so versus anyone who's pit for hard and versus everyone who stayed out on their mediums, I'm going to be so much quicker on this fresh set of mediums that they've all used basically since the start of the Grand Prix. So I've got 11 laps younger medium tyres, so that's why we're so much quicker than even Carlos there, let alone Perez. I mean, Perez, that was such an easy overtake, and we got such a turn in on the right-hander of Mirabeau there, and now we're right up the chuff of Lance Stroll. We'll make that classic, infamous Rasgas dive bomb down the inside of the Aston Martin, and that was satisfying. Last season, Season 1, we didn't get a chance to make many overtakes at all in the entire Monaco Grand Prix, let alone the Rasgas dive bomb. So I'm very happy we booked in that one overtake there in that final corner, and we're loving this overtake out the tunnel as I overtake my former teammate Felipe Drogovic in the Alfa Romeo car, finding some really good acceleration off that right-hander through into the tunnel and then out of it, really confident under braking. And now we've caught up to Ricciardo, so we weren't catching Ricciardo in the first stint when he was on mediums and I was on softs, and he had a good gap to me, but now in the traffic he's being held up by Magnussen, who is yet to pit on those from those mediums, so he's backing Ricciardo up into us, and now we've got a great chance to dive bomb the man who used to be known for his dive bombs on the outside, then in the exit, and we're up into P10, and we've got a McLaren that we maybe wouldn't have got because of that safety car, because of that pit stop. So that's a definite positive for me then, and we'll continue to chase after the cars and just basically enjoy this race. Like, I'm really happy that we're able to overtake and just enjoy this Monaco Grand Prix versus Season 1, where it was such a dull affair. I'm going to be completely honest here. Season 2, though, we're having some fun on the outside through the last 2 corners of Magnussen. A bit of oversteer for good measure, a snap of it, able to control it and keep the car going in a straight line. Magnussen tries his best to re-overtake me, but I'm not having any of it, and we're up into P9, so we've made, like, you know, 4 or 5 overtakes there and had a lot of fun, and now we will be in a good position. I think, you know, we'll chase after Schumacher, but once those top guys make their pit stops, we could be in a really good position with track position just to park the bus. And it's Monaco. I know I'm overtaking cars, but the AI may find it harder to overtake me, and so I'm gambling on that very thing. to help us jump up the order in this race. And continuing to feel the groove of this car on these mediums, closing up to Mick Schumacher, going for a second Raskas dive bomb, so close to the wall. Tiny bit of elbow out contact with Mick Schumacher, but you kind of have to if you're trying to make an overtake there, to be honest. And we saw that in real life as well over the years. So we've made the move up into P8, and now looking to make a massive lunge on Pierre Gasly from so far back. But we've got the confidence now in this race, and look at that. Great lunge. And we just about slowed down the car, channeling my inner Verstappen there a little bit there, because I was basically forcing Gasly's hand of, you either let me get the position or you continue to turn in and you're going to have a crash with me. So forcing his hand, but we've got the fresher compounder tyre, so we need to make the most of it. That's what this strategy is all about. That even though I'm gonna be on warm tyres later, I need to be in track position to make the most of that, and make the most of this tyre when it's fresh. And when we're doing that, because we're up into P4 now, and I believe the only people left to race by the time we get to lap 19, 20 laps to go, we've just got the two Mercedes cars going on. So we are ahead of Norris, Ricciardo, Verstappen, and we're going to the end like they are. We're just on the medium tyre. So yes, they will close up to us, but it's Monaco, and I fancy my chances of defending against them. You know, it depends on how much the tyres wear out. I've never done this before, so I don't know on this year's game with the new handling model how the tyre wear is going to be, how the rear end is going to be, but it's worth the gamble in my opinion. Lap 22, the safety car is out for the second time now, and it's because of Valtteri Bottas spinning and crashing at the swimming pool section. It's a real heavy hit into the wall, and you can see why the safety car is called out, because that's such an awkward position. So well, now this gives us a choice of what we could do. I'm kind of maybe looking at the soft tyre, but you know, we've got too many laps to go, so I can't go on to soft, so I need to just stay on this medium. But this is the replay, then, and Bottas just loses the back end then through this the swimming pool section. And then this is at the same time, on the same lap, like Piastri, Ocon retires under the safety car and is out this race with a mechanical failure. So two times, two of the AI have retired under the safety car. That's when they decided their car's going to go. So we are still here then on track. We've not made a pit stop, and the two Mercedes cars have. So we are now in first place of the Monaco Grand Prix. We lead the Monaco Grand Prix under this safety car from Norris. Hamilton came out in third place, but he's now on fresh medium, so he's going to be the biggest threat in this race to me and Lando. But Lando himself is going to threaten me because, of course, we're on very worn medium tyres, and so this is where our defensive work is going to come into the test. Vettel in a very lofty P4 doing amazingly. Aston Martin, Verstappen, Russell, Tsunoda, Schumacher, Magnussen, Ricciardo round out the top 10, but trying to play a bit of cat and mouse here and slow down Lando and try and get the exit we want. So we're going to try and bolt at the right time just as we enter the straight, and we're going to go there. A bit of oversteer there was, trying to warm up the tyres a bit, but look at that, we bolted 7/10 ahead of Lando, so that's actually been a really great restart for us then, ahead of the McLaren man. Verstappen is up into P3. Where's Hamilton? Hamilton's down in P15. What's happened to him? Lewis Hamilton's had a mare on the restart. Verstappen now is up into third place. Russell P4, Tsunoda, and Hamilton's been disqualified. Perez has been disqualified. Albon has been disqualified. What has just gone on in this race and this restart? So you can see on board from Hamilton, you can see me weaving about, but on Hamilton's own accord, he just slows down way too much, and everyone starts ghosting through him. The Aston Martin gets caught up of Sebastian Vettel, and then it will be Albon that gets caught up, along with Seb, and then also, I think, Sergio Perez, the Alpine as well. So there's actually 4 or 5 cars who nearly have crashed into the wall. They've now got kind of stuck in this kind of ghosting scenario. So Vettel, oh, what a shame. He was in a top 4 position in this Aston on hard tyres. He probably would have finished in the top 4. But now he's watching these 3 almost crash into the wall and then get disqualified. So that is unbelievable. We've got 15 runners left in this race. We've got 4 DNFs and 3 DSQs as Norris tries to go down the inside to back and doesn't work out for him there. So already my defensive work's having to be put to the test. We go defensive on the inside, but Lando just goes round the outside of Raskas in the very unorthodox place to make the move. But what an attempt by Lando to make it round the outside there. And he's now right up my gearbox, and he looks so bloody quick. He's defending Verstappen, but going for a dive on the outside. We're trying to defend on the inside, even though we get to the apex of turn 1. He just has too much grip, and that is it. That may be the nail in the coffin for our first place here at Monaco. Lando up into P1. I mean, maybe you got to say at some point it was always coming. Maybe I was naive to think I could defend against all these cars for so long on such worn medium tyres when the hards that they've been on, they've only been on their car for like, 10 laps or so. They're going to just get better and better basically as they rubber in. But I really thought we could defend. We were defending into back, but then, Lando just came alive there. Tried around the outside of Raskas, then on the outside of turn 1, and I had no answer. Despite getting to the apex of turn 1, he just had even more grip just to drive on the outside, and he didn't even need to get to the apex. He could just make it work on the outside. So quite amazing stuff there. And now he's 3 seconds clear, and I'm having some real issues on the rear end here. So not gonna lie, maybe we were a bit too over-ambitious with doing this one stop from soft to medium tyres. Our car doesn't have the tyre upgrades yet to do it. Meanwhile, Russell on the outside. It's a supreme overtake. Remember, him and Hamilton were on the medium tyres now for the end of this race, but obviously Hamilton's disqualified, so Russell's the lone Mercedes car on the fresher mediums versus my very old mediums. And you can see, I mean, basically he made the same sort of overtake on Verstappen that I was doing to everyone earlier on those fresh mediums, and now he's looking to make the move on the outside. We squeeze him out. Russell cuts the corner and makes the overtake. Hang on a minute, I'm pretty sure he very much just cut that entire corner. He also then made contact with me and forced me, a bit left as well. But he's made the overtake. The FIA think nothing of it, but that was a bit dodgy from him, I'm not going to lie. And then Verstappen dives down my inside and makes an overtake again by cutting a corner. What is going on? What is going on in this race? The FIA are just blind to this, and they're just allowing them through. Let's look at a replay of Verstappen's one. Dive down the inside, and just look at his racing line. I mean, he's fully over the curb, and he's made that move that way, and Russell was fully over the curb before, so some very questionable decisions here from the FIA and questionable lines from Russell and Verstappen, but it is what it is. They've overtaken me, and I can't do anything because the FIA are going to give them nothing, and I don't have the pace to catch up to them and re-overtake them. So, unfortunately, the nail in the coffin there, we are off the podium here at Monaco, down in P4. And if we're not careful, it could be more. Ricciardo now right up our gearbox, but this safety car is out for a 3rd time. And Ricciardo had actually already made a pit stop, but this is why Latifi has crashed into the wall, the infamous wall where so many people get it wrong in qualifying in recent years. And Vettel's day just goes from bad to worse. Vettel's crashed into the back of Latifi, but the safety car's now out.
The rear diffusing heard some damage. You might start to feel the effects.
Oh, okay, that explains a lot then. I was thinking this entire stint, okay, I know my tyres are going off, but my rear end seems very loose. And that explains a lot. So somewhere, I don't know, maybe a car tapped us maybe in the fighting, but we've somehow picked up diffuser damage. Maybe on a curb, maybe when Russell pushed us over the curb. Maybe that's why. But that explains why our rear end was so bad on that previous stint. We come in, though, under this safety car to gamble on another set of soft tyres. Norris has done the same. So Norris's pit from the race lead onto soft tyres. So that means Russell will lead the way from Verstappen. I think 3rd place is Kevin Magnussen in the Williams car, Sainz, and then myself, Norris, and Ricciardo as well. We've all come in for the soft tyres to try and make a last 4 laps of overtakes to maybe try and climb up the positions, because I know because my medium tyres were worn out as well, it basically made the diffuser damage seem even worse. And now with fresh soft tyres, maybe my diffuser damage won't seem so bad, but unfortunately now what you're seeing here on lap 36 onto 37, we're getting stuck behind Carlos Sainz, and it's very difficult to overtake him because his hard tyres aren't that bad right now. And remember, our soft tyres, all our softs, are used soft tyres, so it's proving very difficult to overtake, and so it means in the most Monaco fashion we get stuck behind cars, and so George Russell, through all this drama, is going to come through, I think, to win the Monaco Grand Prix. He's had a tough old season versus his teammate Hamilton, so this has been a long time coming. Verstappen in second place. Kevin Magnussen, though, in the Williams, is going to get a podium. What an amazing result that's going to be for the Dane who moved to Williams this season. But George Russell gets his first win of Season 2. He wins at Monaco from Verstappen, Magnussen on the podium, Sainz in P4. And then you got to say, ultimately, it was actually an incorrect decision maybe for me and Lando and Ricciardo to pit for those softs at the end of the race, because we just didn't expect Sainz to block us the entire time.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Taking care of the car was absolutely vital today. It's been obvious all weekend that the pace was there, but look at the attrition rate we've had. They would have been very concerned about any minor anomaly towards the latter stages of this Grand Prix.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So here in Monaco, quite fitting, we did a lot of gambling today. The McLarens did as well, and it just didn't pay off for us. It did pay off for Russell and Mercedes to start on the hards, end on the mediums. He made that supreme overtake, remember, on Verstappen to overtake him, to then inherit the lead. So if you think about it, Russell actually made a very crucial overtake to get this win, because otherwise it could have easily been Verstappen staying ahead of Russell and picking up the win himself. And in a race where Hamilton got disqualified, 18 points is still massive for Verstappen, but then Kevin Magnussen, what a good field podium for him, for Williams as well. Back on the podium, amazing stuff for Williams. Sainz frustrates myself, Lando and Ricciardo, and holds us up for P4. And then the two AlphaTauris score some good points ahead of Schumacher in P10. What a topsy-turvy Monaco Grand Prix. 3 safety cars, 4 DNFs, 3 DSQs. It had it all and was so much more action-packed than Season 1, you got to say. And now Verstappen, with that 18 points, has a commanding 17-point lead. So how things change so quickly in Formula 1 and can change in the championship. Hamilton 3 wins in a row to start the year, and now it's swung all the way to Verstappen's side of things. He's only won 1 race, but he's been just more consistent as of late, and Mercedes have tripped over themselves. Hamilton's got in some trouble, especially today with the DSQ, and so it's now all Verstappen back in the standings, and it's up to Mercedes and Hamilton to come back at them and answer back in the next race. For us, it's a bittersweet Grand Prix because I still had a lot of fun out there. It was a really fun one with lots of overtakes, but we just gambled maybe a bit too much with the strategy. We maybe should have just gone onto hard tyres after that soft tyre stint, but you can say a lot of things in hindsight, so it is what it is then, but still a very fun Monaco Grand Prix. Guys, if you did enjoy, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.